Why the professors kept the school running in that cursed house was another mystery. Maybe it was the only place in the world where magic existed, and the professors, all true academics at heart, couldn't bear to be anywhere else. Maybe they were too fascinated by their own theories and experiments and kept the academy running as a way to fund their livelihoods in the meantime. Nev could understand that. Or maybe the house simply needed them. Maybe it wouldn't allow them to leave. These were the thoughts that drove Nev back to the underbasement. Deephaven was their home, for better or worse, and Nev needed to understand it. If they could, maybe they could control it. The underbasement would hold at least some answers they were looking for. Also, Nev was bored. Winter break at Deephaven had been quiet, which mostly suited Nev fine. After the chaos of the previous semester, they needed a little solitude. In exchange for being allowed to stay over the break, Nev took on a share of caring for the house, alongside one of the academy prefects, Patience Sleepwell, who also lived in the house full-time. Nev didn't mind the chores, which included washing dishes after meals, sorting the supply closets before the new semester, and keeping the furniture dusted. They were used to doing the work required to keep a life going. Once done with their chores, Nev would spend the rest of the still, gray days in their room, winding together new toys from their stash of salvaged parts kept in their coat pockets, or wandering the empty halls and listening to the house mumble dreamily around them. Often, Nev would find their way into the Academy's impressive 2-story library, looking at each title on the shelves, hoping to find some thread they could follow into the hidden parts of the house's past. The library had potentially more useful materials, like archived journals from past students, or leather-bound antiques that seemed to have been there for as long as the house had existed. Unfortunately, those could only be accessed by the librarian, who was away for the winter along with everyone else. In the meantime, Nev made use of the extensive collection of whodunit paperbacks. At least some mysteries were able to be solved, neat and tidy, in a single afternoon. All the while, the promise of answers hidden beneath the house had whispered to them, until Nev couldn't ignore it any longer. The hatch in the basement was well hidden, tucked just out of sight under a box of food preserves in the kitchen's storage. Nev carefully pushed the heavy box aside and pulled the hatch open. They felt the house shudder above them as a square, black abyss yawned below. Nev glanced backward, toward the door leading to the kitchen and the rest of the house beyond. Principal Blanchley was still around, though Nev rarely saw her. They were more worried about Patience. Nev decided to wait until they closed the hatch over their head before they would light their lantern, just in case. As Nev descended into the dark, they felt a sudden stab of loneliness. This really would be better with Danny. He was the opposite of Nev in a lot of ways. While Nev was quiet and withdrawn, hiding within the oversized green coat they always wore, Danny was brave and outgoing. He had a warm smile and keen insight, and he was willing to take up a little space in the world. What the two friends had in common was a need to gain control over their own lives and a deep curiosity. If Danny were here, he might find things in the underbasement that Nev wouldn't have paid attention to, make connections that they wouldn't have made on their own. He would watch Nev's back. He would help Nev be brave. Danny isn't here, Nev